Three. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 67 of the Garage Athlete Show. I am joined today by the one and only Daniel Frazier. How are you, sir?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Trying to settle back in the routine of the new year. Mads is back at work. Kids are in, what do you call it? Childcare, I guess. Childminders, a few days a week.
Yeah.
So you sort of spend, when you work from home, you kind of spend half the time working, doing shit, but then you spend the other time thinking, yeah, I can actually do the jobs around the house now. So I'm like, I could actually, mop the floors, tidy the kitchen, and I do have an hour spare to do that. So I'm like, fuck, now it's up to me to do it. I'm just, I'm doing the washing. Tried training this morning, but I fucking killed my back because I tried deadlifting again, and I was like, why did I do that? But I'm all right, I'll be fine. But then, just get back to the side of things. You?
Yeah, same. So it's New Year. Willow actually got chicken pox 2 days after Christmas. So that was fun. But she's all better now. All of the scabs have come off. They leave some nasty scars though, chicken pox. Like I've not.
Yeah, they do die down, but they are quite something.
Yeah. And then the Sunday after that, Natalie got COVID. So that's been fun.
How are you with that? Were you all right? Or?
I'm fine. Yeah. I literally got my booster jab 2 days before she got it. And touch wood, I'm doing lateral flows every day, but they're all coming back negative. None of the kids, even Willow's managed to avoid it. So, it's been interesting. I'm not counting my chickens yet. I'm just because obviously there's a 7-day incubation period, and Natalie was still giving positive tests. Yesterday was day 8. So she's got to isolate till Wednesday. But it was like the lines on the lateral flows have been slowly getting fainter like the last few days. So hopefully we've seen out the worst of it. But yeah, it's been fun. Obviously mixing into that, I've just launched my new program. Right in the middle of that, trying to look after a baby, sort out all the DMs of people kind of coming through, get phone calls in. It's a very, very busy time of year to be a fitness professional, as you'll know yourself.
Yeah, January is a decent month.
Yeah. So we've got a few questions coming in. Rachel may or may not join us later. We don't know. I know she's got a lot on her plate at the moment. So the invite's there. If she jumps on later, that's great. So first question I want to talk about, obviously we're 11 days into 2022 now. New Year's resolutions, are they worth it or just a waste of time? So do you set yourself New Year's resolutions? Do you set yourself goals for the year, or do you just do it like whenever?
Kinda. Like, it depends what works for you. Like, I lost quite a lot of weight once, starting in the new year. I started a program and then was like, right, January, I'm going to get started. And it was brilliant. It was a very, you start off with motivation and willpower, and then it became a habit after that. So it was, I think it's great for quite a lot of people setting goals. So there's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of people like to shit on it, but it's a good way of doing things. Personally, my New Year's resolution was to have more fun, so I've just been trying to do that. But then coincide with saying have more fun, I have fun by getting in shape, doing more with work and drumming. So it's kind of it's like a proactive thing. It's not just run around the park and ride a bike, which actually be quite fun. But no, just mine was to have more fun. So that consists of some time for myself. I actually enjoy it. Like, I quite enjoy my work, so doing more of that and then all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was my resolution. What about you?
So for me, like I set goals like every 90 days or so. So it's one of those things. I got into a discussion with somebody on Instagram about it because I put up like a question box of like, what's everyone's New Year's resolutions? And he was like, they're a waste of time. Like, you shouldn't just wait till January 1st to set a goal. Like, if you want to go after something, go after it. And I was like, I understand that. Like, for myself or for somebody like you, like setting a goal kind of like whenever, like throughout the year, like you're used to doing it. You're quite good at doing it. Whereas the average person isn't. Like, you speak to the average person on the street and you ask them, what's your goals for this year? They'll be like, what are you talking about? Like, people don't tend to set goals for themselves just because there's this, I find when I'm speaking to people about it, there's this thing is if I set a goal and I don't achieve it, I'm going to feel sad. And like that's like the opposite to what like the idea of setting goals is to set something down so that you then got a direction for kind of like where you want to go. So I was one of these people that used to shit on people who set New Year's resolutions, because if you look at the statistics, like it's something stupid, like only like 8% of people that set a New Year's resolution actually kind of do it. So like, what's the point? But if 1 million people set a New Year's resolution and 8% of them do it, that's still what? 80,000 people that have achieved goals. Like that's probably actually worth it. So I think it's one of those things, is getting people to actually think about their year, think about it, and set some targets, set some things to work towards. I think it's great. Regardless of whether you kind of get them done or not, just getting used to setting a goal in your head and working towards it is a very, very kind of, it's a positive thing. Like it's something that I struggled with a lot when I was younger. But now that I kind of do it more regularly, I see my business, my physique, my anything where I set a goal and I then have a target to work towards, I tend to work towards it better. I'm one of these people, I can't just like, if I float around, I procrastinate, I just don't do anything. I found that with my training, like when I stopped playing rugby, but hadn't transitioned into bodybuilding, like my training just went to shit. Like I was still in the gym, but I was just spinning plates, and it just wasn't a very productive time. Setting goals, accountability partners. So yeah, I've said, because Paul Allen's depends if you have the drive, motivation, and goal you want to achieve, get over that mental barrier, you'll stick to it. So yeah, in terms of setting goals, if you are setting a New Year's resolution, one thing that really, really helps is an accountability partner. So there's two kinds of accountability partners. Number one is you just ask a friend who is also wanting to work towards something, and just once a week you check in with each other. The only problem with this is that if people don't invest, if they don't have a fear of missing out with it, so then you just tend to kind of like drift off and nothing kind of happens with it. And this is where investing in coaching then kind of comes in. Because when you've paid a coach, like they will hold you accountable for as long as you've paid them, because that's our job to do that. So, and that's the difference. If you can find somebody like a good training partner, or somebody who you value their opinion, but you're not kind of like emotionally attached to it. So I don't know, have you ever had it where you've tried to get your missus to hold you accountable to something? It never works, just because it feels like they're having to dig at you all the time.
Yeah, there's certain people that can hold you accountable and certain people are not. Yeah, I can't train my wife. So I guess that's one of the things. Yeah, some people it works, but some people it doesn't, I suppose. But,
yeah.
Yeah, got a point there.
Definitely. Yeah, there's been, I'm sure some of the audience there's been some heated discussions in the gym when you're trying to train your significant other, and they think they know best. Right, Alan Hitchen, staying motivated, training in the home environment. I think we've covered something like this recently, but shall we go through that one again? So I'll let you start.
Well, first, you make it a good space to train in. So if you've got if you can afford to not have other stuff in the gym, which isn't gym related, get it out or tidy it away. That I find that always helps. Try and maybe put in your calendar that I'll be training at 1 p.m. Sometimes if you feel like I've just got to get in at some point, you'll keep putting it off, and then before you know it, it's the end of the day and you haven't trained yet. Sticking to a program I find helps, especially for home users. They sometimes go in there and they're like, I don't know what to do. Whereas I find if you have a program where that's on 531 off the internet, something like bodybuilding.com, or having a coach, having that kind of plan there to when you go in can really help. Stay motivated. Goal setting is always good. Powerlifting is easy because you're like, I want to bench 120. Okay, this is what I need to do that to bench 120. Whether it all physique orientated, I want to put an inch on my biceps, well, I better do this every week. That helps. Keeping it as warm as you need to train. I know it's a garage, it can get pretty fucking cold, so just make sure you layer up properly when you go in, and then you can take the layers off as you go. I find that always helps. Picking a time of day that suits you. Some people quite like it at the end of the day, first thing in the morning, just get it done. Even if you know the workout's not always productive as maybe as it normally is, as long as you still get in for, say, I don't know, 6, half 6, you will adjust to it. So, doing that training. And then, yeah, I think goal setting's big. Maybe even like printing out something, sticking it on the wall when you walk in. Like, there's nothing wrong with, it's not for me personally, but motivational quotes, pictures, inspiring stuff to get you going. If there's a quote you like, get it put on the wall. If there's someone you want to aspire to, put it on the wall. If you like to write things down and look at it and it gets you going, and then yeah, it can be a great motivator. Yeah, I mean, that's my 2 cents on that.
So yeah, I think it's one of those things. Like, I've been a guest on a few podcasts recently, and I've noticed the trend that literally on every single podcast, there's been one question that's come up, and it's like, how do I stay motivated? And I think it's a really, really common misconception that people just think that people that train are motivated all the time. Like, we're not. Like, it's one of those things. There's days where I really don't want to go in the gym, where I don't want to go and put my hands on freezing cold bars and lift them over and over again until my muscles hurt. Some days it's not fun. But the difference is that we just, even when we feel like that, we go in and kind of get it done anyway. It's become like part of a habit. But so motivation's an emotion. Like, people think that like you've got to be in the right emotional state to go and do something, when actually if you go and do something, it will put you in a different emotional state. So it's a cycle. So if you don't feel like training, just go and train. Like, just go in, get moving, just get your warm-up done. And if you still don't feel like it, just don't do it. Like, there's nobody putting a gun to your head to say that you have to go in there to do it. If you've got a really strong goal, though, or something that you're working towards, what you'll probably find is when you go in, get moving, get your blood pumping, get a bit warmer, you'll get into it and go, okay, this isn't actually that bad. I'm going to kind of crack on with my session. And you might even end up enjoying it. Some of the best sessions that I've ever had are when I've really not wanted to go in. I've got my bands on, I've put my headphones in, I've just put my head down, and as I've got into it, I've then gone in and I've set personal bests because I've just gone in and cracked on. So you probably want to, ask yourself why it is that you're going in there to train. Like, do you have a purpose behind the session? Are you working towards something? Because if you're just going in and just kind of going through the motions and not really doing anything, you're going to find it harder and harder to motivate yourself to go in there. Whereas if you know, right, okay, as vain as it sounds, right, I've got a holiday coming up in 12 weeks, I've got to go in and lose 10 pounds or whatever it is, just having those little goals will help keep you motivated, because you can see that you're making progress. Our brain loves to see that it's making progress. Right, done that one. Next question from, I always butcher this girl's name, Ewelina. How to not be a dick with your training. So I said, could you be a bit more specific? Like going slap city on a 60 kilo deadlift, or posting videos in a group asking for feedback, but you don't really want feedback, you just want to brush your ego. And she's put a bit of both. And when your mind plays tricks with you, when you know you can lift that weight, but your brain says no, if that makes sense. So I've had this a few times with clients where they have like a weight where they psychologically just can't seem to do, like on squats or on deadlifts or whatever it is. So you'll put they'll do their warm-ups and then say it's 60 kilos. Like, if you put 60 kilos on the bar, it just doesn't move. But you can put it to 65 and it'll move fine. But they just seem to have like a sticking point at 60. I think that's what she's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, don't be, I'm trying to think how to answer. Don't be a dick with your own training. I guess I've done that loads. I think the thing is emotionally detach yourself when you're training, which is hard because training is like a huge part of your life. And it might be, don't put, what do you call it? Round pegs in square holes, or don't put square pegs in round holes, whatever that, I've had to really realize I can't strength sport anymore. Like, I can't be a strength athlete anymore. And it's a hard pill to swallow when you love doing it and it was a big part of your life, and it's like, fuck, I cannot do that. So you have to go, okay, you have to try and think logical. The logic answer is to move on to higher rep stuff. Bodybuilding, you don't have to deadlift. even though I really want to. You know, you don't have to squat heavy, even though I want to. You have to keep thinking logically and move away from it. So I think if you're not being addicted, I mean, we're probably thinking about people, oh, I've got a good program so I can get massive, ripped, improve my 5K and also deadlift triple body weights. I've got a good program for that. It's like, probably not. You're probably trying to achieve too much at one point. So, I mean, breaking it down can really help. So maybe having like a small goal, like it might be you work with someone for 3 months to work on your physique, and then you suddenly go 3 months to work on your strength stuff, or you go 3 months to get better conditioned. I mean, that's kind of a way I think most people should train, is doing little bits of everything. And yeah, I mean, maybe try not to impress people on the internet is another good one, and it's hard to do a lot of the times. Just, and this is big in strength sports, like, oh, I just did this set, deadlift set for 5. Oh, this is fucking huge. Yeah, maxed out, bro. Last rep was a grinder, but I got it. And it's like, okay, well, that was nice for that. But if we're talking about goal of lifting like 1 rep max, you probably like actually put your progress back like a good couple of weeks from what you did there, even though, you know, that's awesome to look at for the Instagram. But if your goal is to lift more weight or to keep progressing or to compete, maybe that wasn't the best thing to do. So I think, you know, lifting for others is probably my big thing to think about on there as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like, people posting things for the gram, like doing things for Instagram, like that's how to not be addicted with your training. Like, you should be training as if nobody's watching. Like, train to your purpose, not to impress other people, would be the main thing that I'd be saying. So yeah, when I'm saying about like people that get like overly hyped up to get like a lift, like if that's not you, if you need to absolutely like sniff smelling salts, get yourself into an absolute rage in order to be able to do your lift, like you should be doing that whether there's a camera on you or not. If you're only doing that because the camera's there, then that's not going to benefit you in the long term. It just might look cool for Instagram, and you might get a few likes for it, but it's probably not going to get you kind of towards your longer term goals. Same thing for like posting videos on either Facebook pages or Instagram or whatever it is, and pushing yourself that little bit harder so that you're digging that hole that little bit deeper. As Dan said, like it might be good, it might feel good on that day. However, is that helping you work towards your longer term goal? Okay, so Adam Senior, hi Donald, are you a natural bodybuilder? Yes, I am a natural bodybuilder. You go back and watch some of the other episodes because I talk about it quite a lot.
just show him your neck and tell him what you weigh, and then I'll believe
you. Okay, so can role models be detrimental, i.e. not telling the whole truth and only showcasing the success, and therefore leading to unrealistic expectations and damage to mental health? This is something I've thought about a lot. I'm going to let you start on this because I've got some quite strong opinions on this one.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess because I'm in the industry, I know I can look at someone pretty much straight away and know if they're on gear or not. Like, I would say I've probably got good gear dar. Maybe that's the word. I think the trouble is when you got people claiming natty and they're not. But then again, I still don't really care. I mean, even if I guess they're competing against me and they're full of drugs, that shit, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, the things I do now, I don't have to worry about that personally. But I don't know if you're like looking at these, like, you know, say like, for example, I looked at, you know, Arnie, Stallone and that in the 80s, the kind of action heroes I grew up on, thought they looked fucking incredible. That's great. It didn't make me feel shit about myself. It was something for me to almost aspire to. I never, you know, I have had some body dysmorphia moments and some times when I feel really down on my physique, but I wouldn't attribute it to the physiques I saw on TV or Men's Health or anything like that. The guys that are like crazy strong, I'm almost like, well, you know, they're all gears at a level I can't reach, but it doesn't mean I can still not try. But it's inspiring to some other dudes who are natty. But if a guy's natty or not, it doesn't necessarily inspire me. It's just they do or they don't. Like, you know, I can look at a powerlifter, say John Hack, he's like insanely strong, probably geared up to the hilt, but you know, I can look at that and be like, wow, that's amazing, and not be like, wow, he's on steroids. It's like, I just don't think of it that way, as I'm sure you don't know about gear, bodybuilders on gear. It's kind of like, I'd like to think personally it hasn't affected me, but then again, you have the conversations with some people that I guess that aren't as clued up or into it as you, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, is he on steroids?" You know, people are like, "Oh, it's Chris Hemsworth. Did he take any gear for form?" It's like, of course he fucking did. Look at the size of him. Like when he goes from like
Or
Men
when
in
they
Black
ask if the
to
rock's on gear,
the Rock.
yes,
Of course, you cannot do what he does without being on gear and the rest. But like, you know, he's
yeah.
still, you know,
A
does all the work.
phenomenal athlete. Yeah.
But you know, there's yeah, I mean, I think you can certainly get incredible results without steroids. I just think steroids will get you there quicker. And I think where steroids work is for people that really know what they're doing. Then it really starts to take them to another level. But you know, there's plenty of guys walking around who still look like a bag of shit, taking all the gear under the sun.
Well, that's just it. If you walk into any like anytime fitness or just a fucking pure gym nowadays, like the amount of guys that are in there that are using, and they're using juice just to look good to kind of go on the beach and stuff like that. Like they want to look like the guys from Love Island, but they don't want to put the work in. They don't want to put 10 years of work in. They just want it in 6 months. So can role models be detrimental? It depends on who you're using as a role model. So like I mentioned there before, like if you're using these reality TV stars, like The Only Way is Essex or Love Island or things like that, as your role model, then 100% it can be detrimental because they sell out, like they don't really have any talent, but they're famous. So if you're chasing fame, then yes, those role models could be very, very detrimental. In terms of kind of like health and fitness and stuff, I think with the internet, people are getting more clued up now on like natty or not. You go back to like the 90s and bodybuilders and magazines weren't allowed to talk about the fact they were on steroids because they would lose their sponsorships. Whereas now, because of like Rich Piana and people like that going, of course I'm on steroids. I'm 300 pounds. Like, why would you think I'm not? It's now more culturally acceptable within those sports to talk about it. So you're getting more and more people that are like open and honest about it, which means that you can have the conversation and people can learn about it properly. Like, I'm not against steroids in sport. Like, they're already there. They're rampant. Like, I'm not as naive to think like a lot of these world champions are using something to get an edge because they want to be superhuman. They literally want to be the best in the world at something. They're going to do whatever it takes to kind of get there. Now, for me, what I don't like in my sport in particular is bodybuilding is you have two different tiers of the sport. You have the natural side and the assisted side. If you want to go down the assisted route, here, this is a whole platform for you to do that, and you're going to compete on a level playing field. But people don't want to do that. They want the trophies and they want the accolades. So you still get drug streets like in like natural bodybuilding. I just don't understand it. Just because to me, like if I win a trophy, but I have an unfair advantage, does that mean I've actually won? Because I've competed against a load of people that could never achieve what I've done because I'm taking something. Like, so I think the whole fake natty thing is starting to die out just because of the internet, because people are a little bit more clued up, because you can just randomly, like, even some of these smaller federations now are just randomly drug testing throughout the year. And it's not as big a deal for you to say now that you're on steroids because it's more, especially within strength sports or bodybuilding or things like that, it's more accepted within the subculture that people will talk about it. That there isn't as much need to hide it unless it's to the general public. Like people, unless you're involved within these sports, they hear steroids and they think like, what's it called? Roid rage. That like I get it all the time. So I have had it where like clients have like been traveling and they've been like, oh, the only gym that's there is like a bodybuilding gym. It's like, okay, so why is that a problem? Oh, it's full of bodybuilders. So why is that a problem? Like actually, some of the nicest communities I've ever been in are bodybuilding gyms. because the guys that go in there are training for a purpose, and they are much more likely to actually accept the fact that you're going in there to better yourself, rather than a commercial gym where somebody's paying £100 a month to be there, to be up on their high horse. Like, I've met more arrogant dickheads in a David Lloyd than I have in like a spit and sawdust gym.
Oh yeah, that's always been the case. Yeah, I think we're very comfortable in the gym environment. You know, whatever that is. I guess you still got to remember some people are still terrified of the gym, especially with what's happening in the last couple of years. People are still really scared, don't want to go in, worried about it all. They see, you know, people on TV that I don't know if intimidate is the right word, but they just want to stay away from that culture completely. So yeah, some people are still really scared of getting in there, and I guess you can't get past that, and maybe till you actually go in there and experience it. It's, you know, it's getting over that step. You know, it's the same as like starting a program. It's, you gotta feel the fear and do it anyway. Like, you gotta get past it, and it's hard. I appreciate that. It is, you know, it's yeah, but like they say, just go to that gym, give it a go. I think on this question as well, it's got me thinking as well. It's not just the gear and all that. I think it's maybe talking about influencer culture, which I think is obvious. I think is a real big problem, like huge problem. And you know, by that, you know, that woman talking this week about, you know, you've all got the same 24 hours in a day. It's just blown up. It's fucking hilarious, like watching the reactions to it. And I think it just lets you know, like, you should not aspire to be an influencer or like an influencer, in my opinion. I hate them, really. I don't hate them. I just really don't like them. Not hate, just really don't like. And I don't seek to, you know, you know, it's cool to get a sponsorship, be associated with a company, that kind of stuff. That's fine. But like, you know, some of these, we're talking about, like, you know, we're going right into the big side of the spectrum. We're talking like celebrities endorsing diet pills they've never heard of, what they do. You know, there was that funny, terrifying sketch where I think a guy basically managed to get celebrities to endorse, I think it was like cyanide or something, really, like it was a poison, and he managed to like pretend to pay them to do this thing. And it's like, fuck, like scary shit. And you forget the reach these people have of like millions and millions of followers, and all it takes is, you know, a couple of thousand to follow that, and then you got a serious problem. But you know, that's why these pills and tricks still exist and all that. So yeah, I think influencer culture is a big problem, like, in our life. I guess it's a legit business, you could say. People are making a lot of money from it, but I still don't agree with it myself.
Yeah, and I can get on board with that. It's one of those things where you often see it with like accounts where they get to a certain size and they just, every week there's a new thing, like whether it's a skinny tea, whether it's a new piece of gym equipment, whether it's a supplement, so like Herbalife or whatever it is. Somebody's basically just said, right, I'm going to pay you. I want you to promote this product. And there was a big thing about it a couple of years ago because people didn't realize that people were getting paid to do this stuff. And then it came out and everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe. Just like, that's literally these people's job. Like, they're famous for the sake of being famous.
Well, that's the difference, isn't it? Like, I was thinking about, you know, sponsorships, endorsements have been going on for forever. You know, you know, what do you call it? Olympians with breakfast cereals and all that kind of stuff. You know, like Thor has a leg. I mean, that's cool, but like,
it's being transparent about it.
Yeah, but I think when your sole job is just to peddle shit, that's where I'm a bit like, like, you know, in the whole Instagram model thing. Like, that's where I get a bit like, what? Like, all you do is just sell people stuff. You're an influencer. It's like, it's not that you're an athlete that sells this, you're an actress that sells that. You are an influencer. That's where I'm like, oh, that's weird. I mean, I can understand the business. I see the appeal of why these kids want to do it. Fuck me, you just put a few pictures up, make, you know, some amazing money. I totally understand.
Go traveling, get to do all these things. Pay for you, and
you've got to be in a very nice position to be able to do that. Not you know, when you're having to take 3 buses to work to clean an office and then take 3 buses home and take care of your kids, maybe you're not in a position to do that. But I'm not keen on that culture. I think that is very damaging, and I'm worried, you know, where that is going for a lot of people. But yeah, so I think we've covered that.
We'll see what the metaverse brings into existence and how scary that becomes. Have you seen that? Yeah, the whole Mark Zuckerberg thing. That's a scary thought.
Well done, anyways, come to Facebook. It will sort everything out for you.
Yeah, pretty much. Come and live in our digital world where you never have to leave the house again. Right, that's all the questions. So I know you have a few appointments to keep today. So, Mr. Barbells and Beans, where can the people find you if they want to hear more of your illustrious teachings about all things strength?
You can find me in the metaverse. Yeah, Facebook down
right next to Snoop Dogg's house.
Yeah, man. You can find me in the home gym group. I'm in there somewhere. And then you can find me on Instagram, Bubbles and Beans. You can find me with the Google search. I think I've got a Wikipedia page. You can find me at my house if you want to come around. You can probably find me out somewhere around Newcastle most days. Yeah, so I'm out there, man. What about you?
So my Instagram handle's just changed. It's now the Dad Bod Coach. So that's on Instagram. And
how do you change your handle, by the way?
You go into settings. So
dick. Is that it? That's
yeah.
what I got to do. The Dad Bod.
Nice. Yeah, and well, there's loads of stuff. There's loads of other stuff. Obviously, we are also all these videos do go onto YouTube as well. I need to start asking people to leave reviews at the beginning. Right, I'm going to record a separate thing and be like, right, please leave us a 5-star review at the beginning, just so we're more searchable. Just because our viewership has decreased recently because I've not been as consistent with uploading them. But I want to get back into doing at least one of these a week. So between myself, you, and Rachel, I'm sure we can get that.
Cool. I think we might. Yeah, I think Aled might be coming on the show again next week. I'll see if he's
nice one.
Yeah, I think we'll see if we see if that's going to work out. He's a very intelligent guy. He can share some very good evidence-based information, not just.
And he's actually evidence-based.
Oh, he's true evidence-based. I would say this is a big thing. I think we've had this chat before. I'm evidence-influenced, as in I watch Lane Norton videos and Alan Aragon and shit like that, but I don't go into the studies myself and meticulously pull them apart, whereas someone like him does and can tell you exactly what the data means and why this works, why that doesn't work. So it was good to.
And there's a few people on the group that claim to be evidence-based. When you look at them and their profile, and it's like, you're not evidence-based. You literally just watched the Lane Norton video and regurgitate it.
Yeah, well, that's what we're talking about, wasn't it? It's not always. It's fine to be evidence-influenced and take those guys. Like the Jeff Nippards and all those kind of people sort of point you in the right direction, and that's brilliant, but don't claim you're evidence-based if you read an abstract. Don't do it. Sweet.
All right, dude. Right. Enjoy the rest of the day. I've got to go and train. I'm going to go and see what my 1 rep max is on deadlift, just because.
Mid, send us a vid.
I will do. All right. See you later, dude. Bye.
Bye.